Hey Alex,
Hi, how are you?
doing good. Alex, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. There we go.
Hey,
Hi.
good to see you.
You too.
How's your day so far?
Um, Pretty good. Yeah. Fortunately, still, day job. So yeah, busy day, and then working day ends, and then you go back to being a musician. So yeah, it's cool to get thrown into that and have a talk with you.
Oh, sounds amazing, Alex. So Alex, Terrafastma is scheduled to be released on December 3rd. So can you tell me a bit about the songwriting and the production behind this album?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we've actually been sat on this album since early 2020. The idea was that we'd start to drip feed that through there, but then with COVID-19 taking hold, and then really just kind of throwing all of our plans away, that we decided to sit on it for quite a while. So it's been in the works for quite a while. With this one, we decided to kind of step up a lot of the writing styles that we did. We took a step back to really look at how a lot of the metalcore, deathcore, and even some of the death metal kind of more recent tracks. What was some of the patterns? What was going on? What was the direction? We picked up on a couple of things, and it's something we've tried to kind of incorporate into our music to really try and bring it kind of up to date with where we are. I think it's still very much our sound, in that it bridges both metalcore and, say, death metal elements. We've got, I think, our signature kind of sound in that space is the usual kind of melodic, hooky, riff-based guitar music, but rather than do the usual metalcore chorus with clean vocals, we've stuck with really quite heavy screaming vocals, things like that. So I think we offer something to a lot of people who like the melodic stuff, and then those who like something heavy. I think we've got a really good blend of hooky and heavy, I think would be the best way to describe it.
Wonderful, Alex. And your single from the album Badlands was recently released, and you put up a video as well. So it's totally amazing. So can you tell me a bit about the making of the video?
Making of the video, yes, absolutely. So that was actually filmed in the warehouse of the place I work. So it was a kind of a last minute idea. We knew we were going to do 2 music videos for singles from the record. The next one we've not released yet, but that one has got a lot more story, a lot more visuals and production value in it. But then at the last minute, we kind of changed the order that we were going to release the singles. So we needed something for Badlands quickly because we thought it was going to be released later. So it ended up just being a performance video. Because we weren't visually creative enough to come up with a real story in time. So really, we just needed a big open dark space where we could control the lighting. So yeah, we were in that warehouse. It was about 3 in the morning that we filmed that. It was very cold, very dusty. Just set up some interesting lighting and did a bit of performance video. A lot of things we just kind of did on the fly. But yeah, it turned out pretty cool. We wanted some kind of trippy vibes and effects in there to really match the I suppose the theme of the album as well. So yeah, it came out as well as could be hoped.
Wonderful. And you have any plans to come up with more videos before the release of the album?
Yes, so there is another music video coming out. So we've not announced this yet, so this is probably an exclusive. There'll be another single called Made of Misery, and we're going to release that the single will be out on the 5th of November, and then the music video will drop a week later, so the following Friday. And the music video's quite different to anything we've done before. Visually, it's quite striking, and I think it'll stand out from Badlands quite a lot. But yeah, it's my favorite song from the album as well, and it was my idea for the story behind it as well. So it's something I'm excited to see how people respond to it.
Wonderful, Alex. And this seven-track album, is there made up of some kind of concept on this one?
There is. So lyrically, it is. It was led by our vocalist Joe. Um, he's he's had a few issues that he's really wanted to speak about on this, albeit in somewhat a kind of metaphoric way. If you keep the meaning relatively vague, it means that a lot of people can relate to it a lot easier if it's less specific. But I mean, the real aim of the record was to write. I mean, the theme was about, I suppose, being lost. So the name Terrafastma, like terror meaning earth, and then phasma meaning, you know, ghost-like. It was about feeling like we were in a ghost world, partly because of issues we're having with a previous vocalist, and then also just how, you know, what COVID had really done to the band as well. We've got all this music we were sat on, but we couldn't play any of it for anyone. It wasn't the right time to release it. And I suppose that macro feeling of that kind of like being trapped and lost tied in with a lot of some of the personal subjects that Joe wanted to talk about. So that was really the kind of theme for the record.
Sounds good, Alex. And the cover art of the album is really interesting and good to see that good way of giving up a metalcore cover art, I would say. So what was the idea behind the cover art?
We started off with a loose idea, which then in working with the artist, an artist called Shindy, does some fantastic artwork for bands like Brand of Sacrifice and Bound in Fear. In working with him, we really managed to kind of pull the idea together. So we got the idea that because of the name Terrafastma, the phasma aspect of it, relating to kind of ghostly matter. At the time, we were looking at a lot of like ghost, well, essentially like the subject of ghosts and the afterlife and how other cultures perceive it. Yeah. And in particular, in Far East, where, for instance, like China and Japan, with things like Oni masks. In particular with a lot of like Japanese stuff being really quite popular, both in like fashion and like music. You're seeing a lot of cover artwork and things like that, bands like Within Destruction and things like that. So we wanted to kind of draw some of that in to kind of work with the whole phasma aspect of the title. But we didn't want it to be strictly just like Japanese style Oni mask. So there's a little bit of like a Persian kind of feel to it as well. So it's a bit of like our own kind of take, a bit of a mix of them. And then with that, because of the departure of our old vocalist, and then what it means to kind of like wear a mask in terms of facing demons and in battle and things like that, I think that's the reason for part of it breaking off. And then the four hands was kind of serendipitous. It was originally two hands going to be holding the mask.
Yeah.
And then because we wanted it to be a little trippier, again, because it's kind of supposed to be a trippy kind of ghost album, we did last minute decided to add an extra two hands in and four hands, and it made it look a lot crazier. I think it works a lot better. There's weirdly in the album artwork, this is testament to the effort that Shindy put into the design of this. We've got the file with the different layers in the artwork, and if you remove the actual mask and the hands from the picture, in the background there's an entire spirit's face hidden behind there that no one will ever know about other than us. So yeah, it's a lot of work on spirits in the afterlife, really.
That's wonderful, Alex, wonderful. And on the day of the release, on December 3rd, you will be touring in your home city, Sheffield. So how excited are you to go on tour again?
Oh God, yeah, we can't wait. Well, we're excited and very nervous. So I mean, we don't want to overplay our hometown. So we only used to play it once, maybe twice a year anyway. Because otherwise, you know, people get bored of you. And you always want your hometown show to be the best show. Yeah. So yeah, we never used to play it a great deal anyway. But it's our first show back since COVID lockdown. So since March 2020 was the last show we played, something. So I think that's like, it'll be 21 months, I think, by then. So it's the first show after 21 months. It's the first show with new vocalist Joe.
Yeah.
And it's the first show playing all of the new tracks for the new album. So and you know, it's a hometown show, so the pressure's on for it to be big. So it's yeah, there's a lot of reasons to be nervous about it, but at the same time, yeah, very excited for it. It'll feel like normality. I don't think we'll realize how much we've missed it until after we've played that show. Yeah, undoubtedly it'll go far too quick.
Wonderful. And going forward from there, do you have any plans to go on a festival or on a long tour, probably this year or the early next year?
We've got some shows in the works at the minute. They'll be in the UK for now until travel restrictions move. I can't say too much about it just yet, partly because a lot of the details are still quite fluid. We are aiming to try and hit like both ends of the UK. So Southern fans who possibly haven't been able to travel to the release show will get to see us for sure. So we're trying to cover all bases, but yeah, we'll definitely be doing that. And then we've got a few more ideas for later on in 2022, particularly a festival in Europe as well. But we are again waiting to see how travel restrictions change as to whether that'll happen or not.
Sounds good, Alex. And Joe Hallen, your new vocalist. So how was it like working along with him?
Joe was fantastic. We've known Joe for many years, since the start of the band. He's been a vocalist in other bands that we've played with in the past. So yeah, we've always known him, and those bands always practiced in the same place that we did. So he's been a good friend of ours. When it came to finding another vocalist, we gave him a crack at Badlands and the next single, Made of Misery. And I think he did himself a disservice. I don't think he had the right equipment at home. So the demo he did was, by his own admission, pretty bad. But we, in the end, we actually struggled to find people who could do the kind of thing that we wanted. And we knew what Joe was capable of, so we saw past the bad recording equipment. So we thought, we believe Joe can do a fantastic job. But more importantly, we know that he's a good person, a fun person to be around. Because ultimately, if you're going to sit in a tour van with people for hours on end, you've got to like those people. So we can teach him to do an Arkdown song, but we can't teach him to be someone we like. So ultimately, we went with Joe because we think he's fantastic. But then working with him has been like a whole other level. Now, given that we've been sat on this record for a year at that point, and we needed vocals for it, we were in a bit of a rush to get it out because we were excited and anxious. I think Joe wrote all of the lyrics within 2 weeks, and then we did the vocals in 2 recording sessions, all full day recording sessions. And just I think almost everything was a single take as well. Yeah, fantastic stuff. And even the things that we changed on the day, he was able to pivot and do some stuff I don't think he even knew he did. We got him to do a few different things, but he absolutely grasped how how an Arkdown song works. So yeah, it's been great working with him. So I'm excited already for the next record.
Wonderful, Alex, wonderful. And can you tell me how Arkwood really started?
How Arkdown started?
Yeah.
So we started in, I think it was late 2015. The band was under a different name at that point. And I was asked by an old school friend to come and play drums for them. I think their old drummer had quit, and I think I was the only person they knew who could play that style of drums, with all their double bass pedals, things like that. And at the time, the only remaining members were, there's only myself and then the guitarist, Mike Dyson, were the only, I suppose, surviving original members from it. At that point, we just went for a bit of a rebrand, changed the band name. I came up with the name Arkdown, and yeah, played a lot of the local scene. Members of the band moved on, vocalist moved on, a guitarist at the time, Ben, he moved to Canada to do his, he was doing a PhD. I think he was a doctor now. So yeah, like people just moved on in life, particularly because we were sort of mid-20s, and at that point in time, people have come out of higher education, they're changing jobs, starting families. So it was at a bit of a transition point. So we went through quite a few people. And then since then, there's not been too many changes other than the big vocalist change, but it was kind of necessary for growth.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really the humble beginnings.
Wonderful, wonderful, Alex. And Alex, talking about the album, it's I had the opportunity to listen to it as a whole, so it was amazingly done. Like the melodies, the metalcore elements with the real hardcore metal elements combined together, and the blend was really amazing. It's good to listen to, and it has all the power, aggressiveness, and beautiful music, I would say. And how, as a band, do you feel about the outcome of this album?
We're incredibly proud of it. In writing Terrafastma, we came up with a new way of writing music, and it pushed us to be able to write our best tracks, and also was far faster than ever before. Some of the tracks on there we've actually been sat on for much longer. So I'll not say the name of it, but you'll have heard it. It's the second to last track on the album. That is, we've had that written for maybe 3-4 years, probably 4 years. It sounded very different, but then it had a very different melody in it. I was actually the person who stopped us releasing it all that time because it just wasn't right. It wasn't right. And then we picked it up for this album, and yeah, we changed quite a lot of it. And then it's turned into the song now, which is probably one of the most dynamic, technical, and melodic, one of the biggest sounding tracks on the record. So it's nice that that's been sat on the back burner for so many years, and it finally comes to light. And then the last track on the record, that was one of the first ones to be written, the start of 2020. Then everything else came together really quickly in quick succession. We really fell on a really got into our stride in terms of writing in this style for this record. Something I'm particularly proud of would be track 2, the one that we're releasing next, Made of Misery. There is a really interesting opening riff at the start of that song, and that came from a challenge that I issued to our guitarist Mike. I challenged him, just try and get him, it's a bit of a thought exercise, to write a riff with a pinch, scrape, and a stutter, just to see what it come out with. I thought it would sound like nonsense, and it ended up being like the hardest riff I've ever heard. It hits so hard, and I don't think there's much out there like that right now. So it's the kind of riff that makes you want to flip a table. It's really good. So yeah, there's a lot of things in there that just get us really excited. We're super proud of it. And playing it live is already a challenge. I mean, having written that well over a year ago, and now we're getting ready to play it live. I've got to relearn it. Naturally, we've not played our instruments as much, so we keep coming back to the songs and think, whoa, we never wrote this. This is too good. Clearly, we've just gotten worse, but we'll get back.
Wonderful, Alex, wonderful. And would you like to share some of the great moments that you guys had over the years?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of the awesome things we've done, really breaking out of the UK and playing shows in Europe have been fantastic for us. I mean, our first show outside of the UK was a headline show in Switzerland. Now, it doesn't get more exciting than that. And even more so that people actually came out to see us as well. So going to another country and finding you've got fans there is fantastic, because, you know, before you do that, they're just stats on social media or on Spotify telling you that you've got so many listeners in this country. But actually to go there and see those people turn up and people have been listening to you is amazing. And it's cool as well that as we have our own tour bus, we could take people on. So we took friends with us and turned them into like weekenders. So it's nice being able to go to these cool places and bring people with you, making an adventure. Same with playing Portugal and Ireland. They've been fantastic going to these other countries and people actually show up. It's amazing. Playing Mullingar in Ireland, never having been there personally or with the band, and just, you know, 80 to 100 kids rock up to a show and go absolutely mental for you. It's fantastic. A highlight for us will have been early 2020 in January. We did a couple of shows with a band called Confessions of a Traitor around the UK. And there was a Danish fan, our now friend called Christian. He was flying in from Denmark to come and see us in London. And I think the show almost fell through in the end. I can't remember what happened. There was a last minute change of venue. And we were quite gutted because, you know, this guy tagged us in the social media posts. And we read everything we get tagged in on. So yeah, we know what people are saying and we get excited about it. So we knew this guy was going to fly over by himself, especially to see us. And the show almost got cancelled. So we thought we'd kind of make it up to him. So we ended up moving the show. A slightly smaller venue, but it meant it could go ahead. A lot of people came and it packed out. And we decided we'd get in contact with him, and we met up with him beforehand. So we met up with him before the show in London. We went for a few drinks. At the time, because of the low emission charges in London, our van couldn't be in London for past 12 o'clock at night. Otherwise, we'd have to pay fines the next day.
Yeah.
So after the show, we said, "Do you want to? You're in the UK for a few days. Do you want to come on tour with us?" So he helped us load out the van, rushed everything out before 12 o'clock, and then jumped out of us as we bombed out of London before 12 o'clock, so we didn't get fined. And he came with us through the night to the next place. We played in Southampton. He helped us load into the next venue that night, probably about 3 in the morning. A venue called Suburbia. They had a heavy metal club night on. I don't think they don't have many of those in Denmark, so we were super excited, you know, to come in with the band straight into the club, get free drinks, and get to listen to some heavy metal. I think that was like a bit of a rock star moment for him. And then we stayed on the floor of someone who was linked to the show, so he got to sleep on a stranger's floor with the band, part of the adventure. And then he came to the show the next day, and eventually we took him back to the airport as well so we could fly out. But I think the fact that we kind of went to that extent and did all that for him, which to be honest was no bother, because he's fantastic and he's now a good friend of ours. We talk to him all the time. He's listened to the new album. He loves it. I mean, the guy got a tattoo on his calf with our logo and one of our designs, one of the designs I made for some of our merch. So, I mean, you know, if tattooing our band logo and my merch design on his leg doesn't earn you the right to listen to the new album before everyone else, then I don't know what does. And he's actually coming back to the UK in December to be at the Terrafastma release show. So he's going to stay with us. So, you know, we're just a little thing like that, and we just reached out, went the extra mile, and we've made a friend for life. So yeah, things like that are just really exciting, and it's the kind of thing that only being in a band lets you do. You couldn't do it in anything else. So yeah, that's definitely the highlight for me.
Wonderful, Alex. Thanks so much for sharing that with me. It's amazing. And going forward, would you be interested in doing more of an experimentation in the music that you're creating?
Definitely. So we've already, I mean, this record's been written for a while and it's now going through a process. We're working with PR companies and things like that. So it's kind of, our job's almost done now. We just need to play it in December. So we have already got a mind on the next record, and you know what direction that might take based on, you know, what have we learned in doing Terrafastma. And there are some things that we would do again. There are some things that, you know, we think we would probably do slightly differently. And I think definitely there will be some experimentation in it. I think we dipped our toe in this. I think Terrafastma, there's a lot of parts in it that seem like quite technical metal. I can tell you now, we're not technically minded at all. It's just very clever writing. But I think we'll go more that route, a little more techie proggy if we can. I think it's important to have just a tiny bit of pretentiousness in your music because it makes it quite artsy. So I think we'll try and do something like that. We'll see how it goes. We're already starting to experiment, so absolutely, there'll be something. There'll be a step up on the next record.
Wonderful, Alex. And Alex, finally, what would be the message for the Arkdown fans around the world?
Ultimately, I hope everyone has just come through the coronavirus relatively unscathed. We are going to drop a new album at a point where it seems like a lot of live shows are starting to come back now. I hope people will enjoy the record. and hopefully it'll just remind them that, you know, things will get back to normal. We will get to go to heavy metal shows. But yeah, hopefully it's just, you know, a little piece of enjoyment after what has just been a really crap 2 years.
Wonderful, Alex. And Alex, thank you so much for the time you have given me today for this interview, and looking forward on December 3rd for Terrafastma. I believe a lot of fans will start enjoying the new music, and you guys have an amazing day and a great new music ahead.
Bill, thank you very much, Keith. It's a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you very much for requesting this. It's been great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.